My friend, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast, a podcast that brings you exclusive interviews from experts all over the world with life-changing work that you didn't even know existed. I'm your host, Prima Jope, a partner for those that are ready to take their life-changing work in front of those whose life or business depends on it. Please follow or subscribe for more. Welcome back, and today is a new day with a different soul, equally as beautiful. Really just depends on what's the question in your heart. I have Madeline today, and she's someone who from childhood has been in the energies and caring of energies and has these powers since she was a child. And right now she uses these powers to help other human beings who want to step into the next evolution of who they are. And I don't know how to explain to you Madeline's work other than if you feel stuck, if you feel like you're attracting what you don't want, if you feel like there's patterns around you that you do not want to see, you feel like you're stuck in a pattern, or you feel like you're not going as far as you want to go, or you feel like you just plateaued, whether it's life or business. You know there is more, but for some reason, you don't know how to access the more. That can be money, that can be love, that can be health, that can really be anything. Whatever it is that you feel is not moving, we're going to get deeper into what's blocking that. How can we unblock that so that you can step into the thing that you know is available for you? I'm not going to say much about the speaker other than she's really from the School of Hard Knocks. So she's really giving you her entire life, her tears, her frustrations, her experiences, so that you can condense the many years she's old into whatever the time makes sense to you, whether you decide to book a call and be her client or read her content or follow in another way. Really, the question here is time. Like, how much time are you willing to give the process? Because this can be a few sessions, but it can also be a few years. And it can also be a few decades. It really depends on you, where you're at, and if you're ready for the work or not. So I'm going to be interviewing Madeline through her process of how she uses energy to heal or to clear bad energies and help people heal themselves and step into whatever the version of them they know they can access. That's really what we're going to do. How she does it, why it's different, who she does it for, all of those things. Really, the goal is that if this is your expert, you can go, oh my God, that's my expert, and you can book a call. And if it's not, then you can go to the channel and scan through other topics and kind of see like what's the topic that answers the question that is burning deep down your soul. At any particular time when you decide to break off or get off the call, there's one ask that I have, that you pause and think, in whose hands would this expert be absolutely life altering? Because the way this work is being pushed out is we have a triangle. And so we have one side, which is the expert with their gift. We have the bottom side, which is we have the other side of the triangle, which is me with my gift, which is really translating the soul or the message. And we have the bottom side, which is really you as the vessel for the message. So if you're watching this episode, chances are you're the vessel for the message. And there is someone that is close to you, whether that's you or not, is crying because they need this message. And really the simple interpretation is think about who and just pass the message. That's really all it has to be for this. So without wasting more time, let's dive into the interview. Madeline, welcome to the show. I'm excited and honored to have you as my guest.
Thanks, Prima. I'm so happy to be here with you.
As I was going round circles, What could I have said that would have complemented everything else I said, or done a good job in letting the listener know exactly what you do and how you do it?
Yeah, you really did an amazing job. My work is really about helping people with the unseen world that we're operating in every
Mm.
single day and just really aren't paying attention to. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience, but we get so caught up in the physical when we're wanting to create the things that we want. When we're in business, trying to make more money, accelerate our results, do it with more ease, or meet our soulmate, whatever it might be, we get so caught up in the doing, in the process, in the strategy. And then we find ourselves stuck, frustrated, burned out, not feeling good, and creating ultimately what we don't want. So, what I help people do is create their life and everything that they want from the inside out. Our life is a reflection of who we are, our thoughts, our feelings. Everything inside of us is what creates our energy, and that's going out into the world. And it's giving us a reflection of who we are. So all of our results are reflections. So what I help people do is go into their bodies, into their energy field and clear the things from traumas, from past lives, from what other people said, from all the information that's coming in all of the time so that they can clear out the limitations and all of the things that are creating the undesirable results. They can align to a higher level of themselves and of reality and thus attract in something different instead of trying to force and do so much in the physical world.
I really love that. It's doing, 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 doing instead of
Yeah,
slow down
being.
and try and be and try and feel and try and connect. Other than the fact that this has been your thing or you have had this awareness from being a child, when did you understand your gift? Like, when did you kind of go, oh, okay, this is like, when did it make sense to you that you had a gift of clearing bad energies, of feeling them around people?
Yeah, well, I had my gift, like you said, since I was little, but I had no idea what was going on because nobody
Mm,
around me was spiritual or connected. So it
mm,
wasn't until I was a health coach and I was really depressed, struggling with an eating disorder, that I met my healer and shaman. Somebody introduced me to her, and I went to her because I was like, I need help. I'll try anything, but I had no idea what it was. And when I left, I felt lighter than I ever had before. And so I kept going and I kept feeling lighter and I kept feeling more myself. And my results started getting better. And this is where I started to really understand that our life is a reflection of who we are. Because as I started to feel better and get better, everything in my life changed. But then I would say a few years into this process, as I cleared my energy, then I started being able to see more visions, feel more things, hear my soul, hear source, hear other people's souls, and all of these things in the unseen world just started happening. I was like, oh, this is what's been going on my whole life. I just didn't understand. It just wasn't clear because also there was so much inside of me that was disconnecting me from it.
mm. When you say the unseen world, what do you mean? Because most of us live in the world today, the 3D world, the practical world, facts, figures, everything in the
Right.
middle. So when you say the unseen world, like, can you give us more context to that? What do you mean? Are you on Mars? Are you on Jupiter? Like, what is the unseen world?
The unseen world, well, everything on its most simple form is energy, right? So
Mm,
our bodies have an unseen aspect to them that's operating underneath the surface. This right here that looks like air is not just air. This is what's called the quantum realm. There's
mm,
like it's this energetic thing that connects all people and all things. And that's why every action we take, everything we say, and from the energy that we're taking it from matters so much because we're connected into this quantum realm. And so everyone and everything feels what we're doing, whether they realize it or not. So the unseen world is essentially the physical world, but it's the energy behind everything physical. Does that make sense?
mm. Yes, the energy behind everything physical. I don't know how far I want. So if I was blank to this spiritual world and I didn't know what energy was, But you're saying it's the energy behind the physical. What is energy?
What is energy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's
that's a good
energy?
question. I think that the best way that people can understand it is energy is essentially feeling. So it's
Mm.
like if you ever walked into a room and somebody was just having a really bad day and you immediately started to feel bad, you're feeling their energy. Or if you go into a
Mm.
place and you don't like it, but you're not quite sure why, it's because of the energy of that thing. That
Mm.
makes
Like
sense?
I don't do nightclubs. And every time I see a nightclub, I go, huh,
Yes.
no for me. So it's the vibration, what we call the vibe, what we call the
Hmm.
mood, what we call yeah, I think now the listener is getting like you just don't understand, or that vibe is not resonating with you. Okay, cool.
Yeah. The unseen world really, it's like, we all have these gut feelings, or we've have like
Mm,
maybe one a year, most people. And that gut
mm,
feeling leads them on this really beautiful path. And they're like, oh crap, like if I hadn't listened to that gut feeling, like maybe I would have died. It led them on a different road so they didn't get in an accident. There's all these things happening that we're connecting to accidentally and randomly, but we're meant to be
mm.
connected to these things all of the time. And that's part of the unseen world. Like you said, going into a nightclub, you don't know why you don't like it, but you don't. That's because of the unseen spiritual world and the energy behind everything. So these
I
worlds are meant to coexist,
mm,
but we've all lost our connection to the spiritual energetic world. And that's why things have become so difficult for so many.
mm. I think I'll just give my example because before I wasn't aware of why I was doing what I was doing. And so I had this resistance to funnels, people like like people putting me on their lists when I haven't asked to be on them. Hype, like people putting in like a marketing funnel, and I'm like, I don't like this. Or someone trying to sell to you, but they're digging into your pain, and I'm like, okay, that's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the hard sell, all of the things didn't make sense to me, but I didn't consciously know why. But like hype marketing, that wasn't for me. Limousines, like I'm in a limousine, I'm doing this sales later. Like that was like always putting me off. And then
Yeah.
someone, I don't know, for some reason gets your email and you're on the list, and now the nature starts, and I'm like, okay, that's creepy, and I'm gonna put you in junk. Like there are all these things that were happening to me. Okay, now I'm trying to buy something, but I
Yeah.
want to buy it because I want to buy it. Not because you're clever and you're gonna put me through some sales process and overcome my barriers and show me my pain. Like I already know my pain. And so for me, I always had these things about life that I knew were not for me, but consciously I didn't know why I did what
Yeah.
I did. And now doing this podcast has really made me aware why I don't like what I don't like, why I don't wear
Hmm.
makeup, why I don't have, I don't know what other extension of hair, why I don't care for the most
Yeah.
fancy mic, even though it's sat right there in my sofa, why I don't care for the flash, if it makes sense, because
Yeah.
somehow, somewhere, I have like internal validation of the person that I've been created to become. And so when you say the invisible, I really get it because for me, it's been in the last 3 months that I began to consciously understand what I was doing. And so it
Hmm.
is possible that you can do these things, but not know that you're doing them.
Yeah, everybody is doing them. We all like,
Mm,
yes, I'm gifted in the work that I do, being able to see where people are blocked from their truth and the reality that they're meant to
mm,
have. But we all have the ability to see energy, feel energy, know things, hear our souls. And so my work is not just about, healing people and clearing it and doing it for them, but it's also as you do as you receive energy work, you
Mm,
access your ability to do everything that I do so that you can lead your life in the highest way, connected to your soul, working with energy, doing all of these things, because we do all have that ability. And I love what you said about like you not resonating with the limousines and all the things and the fake hair and the this is because that is at a frequency and an energy of fake. That's all fakeness. It's all disconnection, it's illusion, it's operating like a lot of those marketing tactics operate from fear and scarcity.
mm,
And that's a really icky feeling. Like we
mm,
all feel icky about that. And more people are starting to wake up to this and realize that they've been buying from fear, buying from lack, buying from insecurity, and people don't want to do it anymore. And that's why this work is so important now, is because
mm,
people are buying more based on feeling. They're acting more based on feeling. So if we're not working on our energy, if we're not acting in the highest integrity of life, of our soul, then things aren't going to work in the highest way.
mm. I really like what you said about like you really need to start thinking like stepping into your highest integrity and really
Mhm.
doing things because you want to help.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. But before we get ahead of ourselves, who was the Madeline that didn't have it figured out, didn't have seven, eight-figure clans, didn't have all this figured out, didn't know the 3Ds and 5Ds and all the Ds? Like, who was that Madeline that we can relate to right now who was like, I have no idea, who was trying to figure it out? Like, I want to take you back to your story because usually we pick some connection, some tissue from there and go, oh, okay, so maybe it's possible for me as well. Because we can sit here and
Yeah.
talk, but all we look like is two people who look like they live in Mars. And I don't want that to happen on this podcast because we are all human
Yeah.
beings who haven't figured out
Yeah.
anything, everything. And so I want to take us back to the Madeline who was like where we are. What's the story behind all of this?
Yeah, I love that you asked that. And it's so important that we remember that all people are human and we've all gone through things. Um, I really struggled my whole life with anxiety. I didn't realize, at the time, but I was very anxious. I was very overwhelmed all of the time. So I was feeling energy and not realizing it. I really struggled even to go into grocery stores in high school because it just felt like so much. I didn't know who I was. I felt really lost. And all of that pain and all of that disconnection is ultimately what led me on this path. I always knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't know how. And so when I graduated college with my degree in psychology, I had this feeling. I was like, "Ugh, I just felt wrong and I didn't know why. It felt wrong to get a master's and to go along that path. So I moved abroad to Vietnam and taught English there, but something called me to go study yoga and meditation and all these spiritual things that I had never known about. And something just clicked. It was then that I started really connecting to the validity and the power of what I felt. I felt to go to Vietnam. I felt to go to Thailand. And it led me into all these amazing circumstances and opportunities and things that I was learning where I realized what was true for the first time. And that's how we can all do it, is if we just trust what we feel and where we're led, the energy inside, the whispers inside that are quieter than the mind, that are quieter than the world, these are what lead us on our path. These are what lead us to ultimate fulfillment, to our soulmate, to an abundant life, like all of these things that we're meant to have. It all comes from listening to those whispers. And that's all I did. I was just a normal person struggling like anybody else.
So I love the story and I love the whispers part because I'm on the same journey. I've just been whispered all the way to here. And right now
Yeah.
I'm building this podcast in Whisper, which really reminds me of my first company because it was called Fashion Whispers. And maybe I am wondering if this is going to be called, I don't know, something Whispers. Because I'm building this in the whisper, like Lord, what is the next thing? And literally, I am being led to every piece through a whisper. But this process of surrender, complete surrender, and trusting in what you're receiving really takes a muscle that is invisible, because I didn't always
Yeah.
have that muscle. And so I am wondering, for someone that is in the noise, for someone that takes in everything the world has to offer, for somebody that doesn't have that ability to listen to a whisper because the world is so noisy. So it's a skill and a muscle to turn down the noise and listen to a whisper, because it's a whisper, literally a whisper. And if there's
It
so much noise
is.
in your world, it will just fly through the window. And so my first question for you is, how do we quiet our world that we get to hear whispers? Because there's people who would never hear the whisper because of what's going on in their world. And the whisper is not
Yeah.
about to get louder. So how do we quiet our mind so we can really hear the whisper? Because most of us are not hearing the whisper. We're just doing and going and doing and going and consuming, and like the whisper comes, but it's too lally for it to go through the noise, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I love that question. Well, the first step is slowing
Mm.
down. The faster we move, the more we get sucked into what people call the matrix, like this busy world that tells you what's right and what's wrong and brings you completely outside of yourself into, the illusion of, like you said, needing all of these fancy things and whatever, like all this fulfillment that's outside of ourselves. So if we just slow down and we take time in silence, whether that's in meditation or going on a walk in nature, we just need to make that time to be silent. No music, no phone. Just learn to be with yourself first, because if you can't be with yourself and be at peace with yourself, then you can't hear your soul. And you're right, the whispers never get louder, we just get more clear. We just get more practiced at listening, at trusting. And I feel like the best way to start listening and trusting is doing a little experiment with yourself. Because over time, as you listen and you trust and you see, wow, this is what creates the magic, then you have the evidence that you can lean back on. But at first, I always like inviting people to take a little experiment for a month. What would happen if you took this month and you just listened to the gut feelings, to the feelings and the sensations and the things that you hear inside, and you just see what happens, or even just a week, just see what happens. Those two things are like the most simple things that you can start with, but really the way that we start hearing and feeling and sensing more is by clearing our energy. Our body is a vessel, and our soul is like the light inside that never dies. It goes from life to life. It what holds our purpose. It's what gives us insight. Our soul is what inhabits our body. It's the life. It's what leaves when we die, right? So our body is just a vessel for who we really are. The problem is our vessel, starting from when we were born, gets clogged by what other people are saying. Words are energy, actions are energy, experiences create energy in our body. So all throughout our life, our vessels are getting clogged with energy, making it harder and harder to hear ourselves, making things happen inside of ourselves that feel like they're our mind, that feel like there are whispers in our feelings, but really aren't. They're just old things that are in our vessel. So, energy work really goes in and clears out your vessel so that it can be clear and open for your soul, your truth to flow through. And that's really when the guidance comes in. That's really when you can start taking the space and doing this. But it's really hard if your energy just holding everything from everything and everyone else.
I'm just wondering if the reason that I'm not able to be with myself or even be quiet or even turn off social media is because I feel unworthy and it just feels unsafe to go inside.
Yeah,
How do I?
it's
Because
uncomfortable.
there is someone right now who doesn't know that they're even allowed to look inside. There's someone right
Mm,
now who thinks if they stop to meditate, their children will die or someone will die. Like, how do we get from? Sometimes it just is not safe to look on inside, or maybe you don't even feel
yeah.
like you have permission, or you just feel like you're unworthy. of stuff. Like, how do we
Mhm.
get from that to a place of actually wanting to do it?
Yeah. It is really painful to be alone at first, and the thing is, like, we're hardwired to avoid pain. The thing is,
Mm,
when we start to be alone with no distractions, all of our shit comes up. All of our wounds, all of our fears, all of our doubts, all of our insecurities. And that's when we want to scroll Instagram. It's when we want to invite someone over, to hang out with them or do whatever, or go on a date or, eat food, overeat. All of these things are just distracting us from what we feel. And so it's just getting really comfortable with discomfort and knowing that it's okay to feel pain, knowing it's okay to feel unworthy. All of these lower things that we feel are not our truth. And this is a really important foundation of energy healing is anything that doesn't feel good, anything lower limiting is never your truth or the truth of anyone. We are God in form, a piece of the creator. So our truth is love, is joy, is freedom, is bliss. So anytime we're feeling these things in those moments of silence or just moments throughout the day, that's our bodies showing us, look, here are all of the things that are inside of you that aren't true. Your body wants to clear them. Your soul wants to clear them. The problem is we feel them and we're like, oh, I don't want to feel this. We identify with it. We think it's us when really, and this is energy work, we're meant to look at that and feel it and clear it out of our body. It's coming up to clear. It's not coming up because it's true. And if we can remember that, it becomes more comfortable to sit in.
mm. That's really good because your body knows better. Your
Yeah.
spirit knows better. It knows that there's joy, there's freedom, there's bliss, there's love, there's
Yeah.
happiness, there's playfulness. It knows that all these things are accessible to you. So every time you're tuned out of that, it brings anger, frustration, anxiety, fear, pain, depression as a message to say, hey, you're made for more. I need you to
Yeah.
leave
Kind
that
of.
place because I know there is more for you. I know joy is available. I know freedom. I don't want you to. That's why we don't like those feelings because it's not the highest expression of us. That's really good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and
That's
our
really
soul
good.
is always their soul in the universe and God are always giving us the opportunity to evolve, but we
Mm,
feel unworthy and we go, I'm unworthy. We feel pain and we go, I'm in pain. We feel doubt and we say, I'm doubting, when that's us on the natural course of evolution being invited to heal and let go of something that was never true about us. So,
mm.
um, all of life, we come here to heal. So we're constantly in this process and it's all part of
I really like that. The other part of slowing down and wanting to clear your energy, I don't know if I can say more to slowing down, but for me, what I've done personally is I have no ringtones. 7 years later, no one has died, trust me. I have no notifications. I have no disturbances. So now when I'm working, the house is locked. No one, even my husband, he just stays in his office. I have tried to eliminate all this social media. I go to social media when I want to go to social media. And my phone is not with me when I work. And so I try as much, but my email is closed up when I work and I open it twice a day to just check email. I open social media in the morning to post in the evening to just respond to people. And so for me, what I have done is I have eliminated all these things out of my life. And what that
Yeah.
does, it allows me to slow down. It allows me to have a world that is not noisy. It allows me to eliminate distraction or noise or outside stuff. So I don't know how, but how can you slow down? How can you quiet your world? I don't know what that
Yeah.
looks like to you. Is it telling your kids that between 9 and 11, mom is not allowing guests because she's in her office? I don't know what that is for you, but we need to slow down. But I don't know how
Yes.
to explain to you how to slow down, but we need to slow down because in slowing down, we kind of get clarity to even sit with
Mhm.
these feelings and go, why am I feeling angry right now? What is the
Yeah.
boundary
Yeah.
that I haven't communicated to that person that they are pressing? What am I
Yeah.
fearing right now? Why am I feeling anxious? Like, what is making me live in the future? Why am I depressed? Like, what is making me live in the past? Why am I feeling
Yeah.
like this? Like, what's the message that I'm being given that is wrapped in a feeling? And so I really like that. But I'm still going to come and press forward, Madeline, ask, like, how do I get from a place of like where I am to a place of I really have access to all of the things that I'm entitled to? And you're welcome to pick a stage A to a stage B, but I want to paint a picture of heaven and hell. Where
Mhm.
am I right now? And what are the steps to go to the place where I can access the gifts, the experiences that are accessible for me? Joy, love, I don't know, happiness, and all of those things. But how do I move from this place of maybe I have a cycle of, let's say somebody was in a cycle of the wrong relationships, toxic, or maybe, I don't know, they're in this cycle of a bad experience with their company. But I want you to move them from there to a place where they're like, Madeline, this is working. What does that look like stepwise?
Yeah. Well, step one is remembering that our life is a reflection of who we are and what we hold inside. And
Hmm.
so, especially somebody who's already created success on some level, you
Hmm.
know, they already have a strategy that works. They already know what they're doing. We'll just talk about this in terms of business. Um, it's not about the doing and it's not the physical world. It all comes back to going inside, looking at the beliefs and thoughts, which are energies that you currently hold, and rewiring them. It looks at it looks like looking at the emotions and the feelings and the energies that someone holds in their body around the current experience and clearing them out and bringing them into a higher frequency. This is the process over and over, looking at where you currently are in your life and thus inside, and then shifting higher over and over and over. And it's really that simple. It's not always an easy process, but as we change ourselves, our life changes as a reflection. And this is the most beautiful, easeful way to grow our lives, because that's what takes us out of the hustle. That's what takes us out of forcing, or if you're dating, swiping and swiping and going on a million dates and whatever. That's what brings you to the place where you lean back and you attract everything into your life with ease, because everything is energy. And so Einstein said, match the frequency of the reality that you wish to create, and you can't help but get that reality. So you shift your frequency, your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, and the actions that you're taking from that place. When all of that is aligned, everything in your life will begin to match that.
Hmm. Hmm. So let's say I am a boss babe, hustle and bustle, doing all of the things, chasing all the things, making all the follow-ups, having all the funnels. And I'm like, okay, Madeline, I have hit a ceiling, the money is coming, but my marriage is falling apart, and I don't want that. So what you're saying is what's happening in your marriage is a reflection of you. So let's scan the bad energies and let's I don't know, diffuse them, and let's see if that will bring a result. I am trying to find the process or the loop or the ABC of how do you get someone from a hustle and bustle CEO making seven figures but burnt out like a joke and marriage falling apart to this feminine era, soft feminine person who's making the money but still holding it all together, or really attracting the marriage and the health that they want at the same time. And I don't know if I'm clear about the process of where you're at is really a reflection of whatever the thing that the operating system you're made of. So if you are in the hustle and bustle, perhaps that is what you believe. Perhaps that is the limiting belief. perhaps that's the programming. And we're going to have to clear the energies around that so we can allow you to be as successful, but without all the hustle and grind. I don't know if I understand the process still. So I need you to help
Yeah.
me decipher that down again.
Well, there are many different realities that exist all at once, right? So you have your
Mm.
reality, I have my reality. So your business is operating in a certain way, and my business is operating in a certain way. And there's a million different realities that exist on this earth that everybody is connected to, that we all can connect to. So when we clear the energy, what happens is your frequency raises to the frequency of another reality. It's a very spiritual concept. So it's not something that's really understood with the mind, it's something that's felt in the body. This all comes back to feeling and connection. But yes, if somebody is hustling and bustling and they're creating their business from force, that's the reality that they're holding inside. It's the beliefs they have, it's what's running subconsciously, it's the energy that they're holding. So when they shift their energy and they clear out that experience, they clear out that reality and all that they're holding in their vessel, and then they connect to the energy of a higher reality where they're leaned back, where things flow in with ease, where they trust themselves, where whatever it is that they want to happen, when they can connect to the feeling of that fully inside of their body and act from that place, that's when it starts to materialize in the physical. So it does still take physical action, but what most people are missing is that first step is you have to clear the old reality, the old identity, the old beliefs, the old emotions. Then you connect to the next level embodiment of yourself and the next level reality that you wish to create in your feeling, in your vessel. And then when you act from that place, all the little pieces that are a match for that reality that you're holding in your energy begin to materialize. Does that make more
Mm.
sense?
Yes, it does, because my husband is the kind of person who needs facts, figures, everything. And I'm the kind of person who loves to surrender because there's
Mhm.
so many things, including him, that I surrendered and showed up. So when I was
Right.
looking for a partner, I was in this place of I'm not willing to date anyone that will get in the way of my calling. And so if there is not going to be a man that fits in my calling, I will stay single. And then he showed up. He saw my post on Facebook. And within a month, he was here. 12 months later, we got married and we've been married since. And so for me, I know the surrender works. I know that when
Yeah.
I surrender, it works because that is how he came in my life. Now, for him, his kind of facts, figures, proof, process, do like he's that.
The
And now,
masculine.
yes, and sometimes I'm like, hey, we don't have to have the answer. And I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. And he cannot begin to put in his head, like, are you crazy? Like, how is this going to happen? And I'm like, I don't know, but it will. And it's so
Yeah.
confusing because he's stuck on the facts, figures, and all of that. And I'm like, I feel it. I know that the answer is coming. I don't know when, but I know that it's coming. So when you say believing that something will come because you're ready for it, that can be hard to grasp. That can be hard to wrap someone's hand around. But at some point, I want to think this is more like an invisible muscle and it just grows. And at some
Mhm.
point, you're in that place where you surrender and things come to life. I don't know if I call it manifestation,
Yeah.
but I think I call
Yeah, it
it,
is.
I don't know. I don't believe in manifestation anyway, but I just think that there is that place where you are at either a reality or frequency or something that attracts things at that level, which I'm really
Mhm.
experiencing firsthand on this podcast. Like there are levels, and my
Yeah.
husband sometimes looks at me and goes, how is the energy today? And I'm like, because he's like, everything you guys talk about energy and energy and energy. And in his head, he thinks you don't have to work. You just have to talk about energy and it will happen. I'm like, he really just doesn't get it. And so I like what you're saying, that when you clear the bad energies, the frequency rises. And for every frequency, there is a way things work. It's just really like a radio station. There is a different message
Yes,
at
there's a
every
different
radio
frequency to tune
station.
into.
So if you tune to
Yes.
99.0, you're not gonna hear a guy who is at 100.7. And there could be rock music there, and there could be entrepreneurship here, and there could be marriage stuff there. But if you're in a frequency, you're in a frequency, and that's kind of the reality for you in that moment. But that could also shift with a different frequency. And so I really,
Yeah.
I think I get this. But what is the part that we need to add that we haven't, which is so key to this process of embodying the next revolution or next frequency or next vibration of ourselves? What did we leave
How
out?
to embody the next frequency? Is that what you're
No,
asking?
like what's the thing that is so crucial to the work you do that we haven't touched, but yet you feel like this conversation would be incomplete without that part?
Well, I love what you were just talking about, which is the dance of the masculine and the feminine. The masculine is earth and grounding in the physical, and the feminine is the spiritual, the oracle, the dance of life. And so you guys are just dancing between the two. But I love that you kind of brought up this point because this work will never it can make sense to the mind if someone wants to study quantum physics. There is science behind it, and science is really catching up with spirituality. But if we keep trying to make sense of it or life or anything with our mind, with our ego, with these physical human aspects of ourselves, then we're not going to connect to and understand the spiritual. And that's why so many people struggle with it, is because you don't have to understand it. All you
Hmm.
have to do is feel it and connect to it and try it. And then you see that it works and you realize, wow, there's so much more than what I can see and taste and touch with my physical senses. And, you know, I was at the same place. It did not make sense to me, but it kept
Hmm.
feeling good and it kept feeling right. So I think if we can all just come back into our bodies, come back into our heart and soul, and listen more to our feelings and where we're being led and the things that happen inside, then a lot more is going to start making sense. There doesn't have to be a process or an explanation to everything for it to be real or for it to work.
Hmm. I like what you're saying there. I never used to wear dresses at all for years. I don't know, for 5 years. And that was in style. I was dressing men. And there's this woman who I would go to her shop and she would want me to try dresses. And then she would say, try it on and try it on. And I'm like, I don't do dresses. And she'd be like, you need to go try it on. And then one day I was like, okay, what the heck? I got the dress, I tried it on, and I was like, this is not bad. And that woman made me wear dresses. But I would only buy dresses from her because she kind of really got my sense of a dress that wasn't, I don't know, corn type and tight in the hips and I was like, okay, can I have a dress that is, I don't know, not free, but like, can I have freedom in my dress? And she really understood that I didn't really have a thing about dresses, but I just didn't want to lose my freedom to dresses, which had to be tight in the hips and I don't know where, and you had to move like a cone. Like that wasn't the definition of freedom for me. And so I think that maybe spirituality is a dress. And sometimes you gotta try it on and see how you
Yeah.
feel.
I
I don't
love
know.
that. Yeah, we always have resistance to things
mm,
that aren't normal to us, but just because there's resistance or because we doesn't don't understand doesn't mean that it's not real
mm,
and doesn't mean that it doesn't work. And like I said, it's all about kind of listening to these whispers and being open to a different way. Because for people who are stuck and stagnant and in a life, or like you said, a hell that they don't want, they've been doing things for a certain way. And so doing it the way that they've been doing isn't working. And so being
Mm,
open to a new way of doing things is ultimately what always shifts things. What's that quote? It's like, the definition of insanity is like doing the same thing over and over and hoping for a different result.
mm. I don't know. I can only talk to myself here, but 10 years ago, all I knew was get a job, have a decent life. And then I
Yeah,
got off that and become an entrepreneur. And my world was get clients, pay the bills. And then I came online and my world became make an impact, get paid for it. And so I showed a ton of people how to make money, how to become, I don't know, successful. And then I got married and my reality changed. And now my interest became growing into my gifts and really leaning into spirituality. So I think you might be where you are, and that's fine. But maybe like
mhm,
what does your next level look like? Maybe it doesn't have to be tapping into your spiritual gifts. Maybe it has to be something else. But like, what does the next level look like? Because for me, I can tell the business I have built before is much harder than the business I'm building now because now I'm in surrender. And now
yeah,
things are
you
just
connected to your
coming
soul.
in. I don't
Hmm.
know the depth and details of it, but now things are much easier. People just find me, and there is a connection to every person that I am meeting. And I do not know the details of that. But what I know is the business is much simpler now. When I talk to someone, I don't have to explain to them why I'm qualified. I don't have to show them my PayPal screenshots. I don't have to show them my back end of Stripe because that's not the point of connection. The point of connection is the
Yeah,
heart. And that is kind of the language. And so personally, I would really invite you in to try and get on this journey and see what you find because there's a higher self waiting. And if it's sometimes your soul will begin to cry and you will feel depressed, you will feel really lost, you will feel frustrated, you will feel angry, and you may feel so many things, but sometimes it's just your soul crying for more, for growth, for you to literally do the thing that it knows you can achieve. And so I don't know what that will be for you, but for me, I had to get married to get the awakening that I needed to grow as a person spiritually. I needed to heal. I needed to do all these things. I don't know what your slap will be. For me, I had to get married, literally, to really get, oh, okay. Okay. There's some work here. So I don't
yeah.
know what will be the thing for you, but everyone has their thing. What have you seen as like the before and afters? And I know you've worked with a lot of people, including extremely successful people who are unhappy. But what have you seen as the before and afters in your journey so far, if you don't mind sharing? You don't have to give any details.
Gosh, there's so many. Um, and I love what you brought up because we don't realize how much more is out there waiting for us. And something that I
Mm,
want to say first is that we are taught in our world that our dreams are fantasy, that they're, just a daydream or just in your head or whatever, but these are our guiding points. And
mm,
that feeling, like if you're in a relationship and you're dreaming of another relationship, you're dreaming of it for a reason. If you're in a business and you're dreaming of a different way of life, you're dreaming of it for a reason. And so that is the transformation that I help people get to their dream, which is like, for me, it's heaven on earth. Our dream is guiding us so that we can live on this planet, in this world, in our own heaven on earth. And anything else that is not that, to me, essentially is a form of hell because we're not where we're supposed to be and we can't be fully at peace and fully ourselves and fully feeling love or all of the things unless we go after that and we connect to that and we live that. So, you know, One of my clients came to me. He was stagnant, making 40 million a year in his business. His relationship was completely disconnected and he couldn't feel joy. He knew that he was receiving intuitions, but he wasn't listening, and because of it, he missed out on helping a lot of people and his business growing in the ways that he wanted it to. When we started working together, after 3 months, someone commented that in the 20 years that he knew him and his wife, that they were happier than he had ever seen them. His business
Wow.
started growing. Like, this is where it's like it doesn't make sense. Like, the way he wanted his business to grow just started happening. All of these deals, he was suddenly flying to North Carolina, and then they have an office there now, and they have like all these more offices now. The business started growing, but it started growing in a way that felt good. It felt more purposeful. And finally, he was able to actually feel fulfilled, right? He had everything that money could buy, but he didn't feel fulfilled until he started actually connecting to his soul, to his heart, and feeling the feelings of what he had. So now him and his wife are so connected that he's super at peace. His business is growing and it's growing in an aligned way based on his intuition and based on what feels good. And this is essentially how it goes for everyone. We start coming to this work for our business. We want to make more money, but as you shift yourself, everything in your life shifts as a result. Every next reality that you connect to, if it's only even maybe if you're just doing it for business, everything shifts to come to that reality. And so yeah, I mean, I have clients who there was a realtor who she worked for somebody else, and her soul guided her to quit, start her own business, and she started making six figures a year within a few months. She lost 60 pounds, and yeah, it's possible for everybody. Like, everybody can have these results. It's a matter of doing the work and walking the
Hmm.
path of healing.
I like that. And I really like to emphasize that wherever you are is okay. 10 years ago, it was about a career, a job.
Mm.
5 years into that, it was about money, paying the bills. 7 years, 8 years into that, it was about impact. And then now it's about soul work. It's about using my gifts for good. It's about making the world a better place. It's about being the light for somebody else. And wherever you are is okay. There is a path for you, and wherever you are is fine. Like, just find that next level. What is your soul wanting you to do for the next level? I don't know that the jumps is what you need. What I do know is that sometimes a step is fine. And the step is
Yeah.
fine. But whatever the level you're being called to, there's a clear calling in your heart to go for that level. So you don't have to compare yourself with someone, but this journey really can be rewarding. And I'm saying this, but if there was a 10, I would probably be on a 3 right now. And so I don't know what else is in the 7. Like, I am 3 months into this. And I just now have started smelling my gift. So I don't know what's ahead. I don't know what will happen a year later. But what I know is that this is the definition of a life well lived for me.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. But wherever you are, like, what's your soul crying for? Because when I was in a job, I didn't feel called to do this. When I was doing my bricks and mortar, I wasn't called to do this podcast. When I was helping people make 100K a year, that was that point. But then that phased out, and now I'm here. And I don't know what my next calling will be. So whatever the place you are, I think it's okay. You just have to really tune in and kind of be alert for, like, what are the signals that I need to move? Just really move.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know, Madeline, if you want to add to that. Other than that, I do want to move into your offers of how you help people, the containers that you have. And I want to have you talk about your work so that the person who's listening can go, oh, okay, this is how she can support me. But you're welcome to add
Yeah.
anything else that you feel is necessary before that part.
No, I love what you said. I think we get so hung up on like, what is my purpose and who is my soulmate? Or like these big, vast questions. And it's all about just one step at a time and the one whisper, following that
Mm,
whisper into the next, into the next. And it leads us into this life I never could have imagined this
mm,
life that I'm in and the part, my soulmate and how amazing he's more amazing than I ever could have imagined and everything, all of that really does
mm,
come from listening to our soul and higher guidance because our soul knows what's best for us. We don't. And our soul
mm,
is connected to everything. Our soul sees all of the unseen world. Our soul is connected to God, source, universe, whatever you believe in. And so, how could we ever think that our human mind or that somebody else knows better for us the fastest path or the journey somewhere than our soul, which is connected to everything that is? So, yeah, I
mm.
love what you said about that, all that.
Wow, that's really good. There's that higher guidance that is always
Mhm.
telling us what to do. The one thing I can say though, you can't allow so many people to be involved because most people would just talk
Yeah.
you out of the journey. And so one
Yeah,
of the
they all
things
have an opinion.
yeah, one of the things I have done for myself is I've just tuned out the people that I loved, but I could understand with compassion. They don't know where I'm going. They don't have the data, and they
Yeah.
may love me and still mislead me. And so, really, there needs to be this place where you get and you can tune out the noise. Because otherwise, your mom
Yeah.
is going to have an opinion, your husband is going to have an opinion, your best friend is going to have an opinion, and your everybody in your family. And if you're not careful, this won't come to life.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
soul work can really sound like you're crazy. I don't know if I have better
Yeah.
words to say, but it may not
No, it
make
does.
sense to anybody else but you. And the thing or the word of encouragement I want to put here is when God was giving you the vision for your life or the purpose or whatever, He didn't share it with anybody else but you. So
Mm.
do not go sharing it with everybody else because they don't have the calling, they don't have the map, they don't have the vision. And so you're really inviting them to take you off. And that can really
Mhm.
help you stay on track
Yes.
if you're not trying to get everyone's validation, which is really why this energy healing is required, because there has to be a point at which you have internal validation enough that you don't need anything external to validate what you're doing. And so this healing work
Mhm.
is so important because if you're not healed and whole, you will always be looking for external validation, which is how people keep you off the track that you need to be on. Madeline,
Mhm.
tell us
Yeah.
about how you support people. I'm very curious with that.
Yeah, so I have a membership, an online
Mm,
membership. It's on Facebook and it's a beautiful soul family. I go live every single Wednesday to do an energy clearing and realignment. So we're clearing out all the crap from your past, from the week, and realigning you to
mm,
the highest frequency of your soul and the reality you wish to create. So every action you take is more potent, more powerful, and everything you're doing is just aligned to your soul and the reality that is in your highest alignment. It also has distance clearings and so much else that involves individual support and guidance. It's a beautiful membership community, and that's the most accessible way to work with me. I have a couple recorded meditations and programs, but I also do one on one work. So I do one time sessions, intuitive healing sessions, where we hop on the phone and we start exactly where you're at. You let me know where you're stuck, where you're not feeling good. And then I use my clairvoyant, claircognizance, clairaudience, all my psychic gifts to look at your system and see what's happening in the unseen world, remove that, and realign you into the frequency to attract what you want and also download messages from your soul, from your guide, source, all of the things. And then the last is my mentorship. So this is where we work together very closely. I walk the path with you side by side every single day. We're texting, voice messaging. It includes sessions. It includes the membership. It includes everything. But it's like hand in hand, we walk together, and I support my mentorship clients with everything energetic, keeping them aligned every single day because these are entrepreneurs that are so busy. They don't have the time. And so I'm supporting them and their families' energetics behind the scenes all the time, helping them pull through the highest guidance.
I really love that. Whether you are At a point where you can't invest, she has free
Yeah.
materials. We'll be putting her social media handles in there, and you can follow her for that. Whether you are at a place where you want to have a course and nobody's knowing that you're doing something, whether you're at a point where you can invest for a membership, whether you're at a point where you want to have one-on-one. I don't know where you're at, but there's different levels for every place that you're at. And what I will do is I'll put a link in the show notes where you can book a call with Madeline, and you can see it and chat with her and kind of really feel in her energy and see if she's the person for you. Like, if you don't feel a full body yes, that's fine. Just scroll through the podcast and there's other experts that you can explore. But if you're feeling this full body yes, and you're feeling really a connection to Madeline, then check the pinned post. The pinned comment will have a link to book a call. But then when you check the show notes, you will see all other places where you can go and connect with her based on what level you're at. Ultimately, the way this works is we have a triangle going on. So assume a triangle. One side is Madeline with her gift of healing. One side is me translating her soul. One side is the best is you and what your job is or what your role is in this puzzle is really you are the messenger for this message. You're the vessel through which the message moves. And so this podcast wouldn't exist unless there was that triangle. Madeline would have to show up for me to have something translate. And then I would have to use my gifts to translate this message. But again, somebody would have to move the message, which is why if you're listening to this, chances are there is someone that is so close to you, and it could be you or not, who is crying for this message. And so I want you to scan and go, in whose hands would this be absolutely life-changing? And I want you to just slide in their message in their private space. And I want you to type this: hey, I watched this interview and I thought about you. And just drop it in the inbox. This is the way that we can change souls one soul at a time. And if you're watching this because somebody sent you this episode, then you sure don't want to break this string because it's a string and it's moving. And so I want you to do the same. Who do you know that if they had Madeline in their life would not be the same? And I want you to share this message with them. Madeline, the question for you is, if somebody was thinking of sharing the message, but they were like, I don't know who to share this with, could you give them more context into what needs to be happening to the person for them to be the best beneficiary for this message? Because they have one person to choose, and they need to know between James, Jen, and Mary, who do I choose? Can you guide us there?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I always feel that this can benefit everyone because we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. So we all need to know about the spiritual energetic world to operate in the highest way. But really, I think if you know somebody in your life who's felt stuck or felt stagnant, unclear, and they've been kind of just wrestling between where they're being led and where they are, what other people are saying, or, kind of moving between two different realities, stuck, and they've been repeating a pattern for a little while, then this is what they need to listen to. That would be the person.
And knowing Madeline, I would add that if you know there is someone that has a trophy for being successful, but you know they're unhappy. So think about this person who's made millions of money. They have the toys, the cars, everything, the wife, but maybe they're your friend and you know their problems. And you know that faced with a mirror, things are not going as everyone thinks they're going. And so they're having to put up appearances and be the strong person and take care of everyone, but really things behind the scenes are bleeding. You have success in one area, but you don't seem to duplicate it in other areas. Or you have a lot of money, but you're miserable in love. Or you have the best love available to you, but you're broke like a joke. Or you have the money and the love, but your body is giving way. Who do you know that could use what I want to call their best life? Who do you know that this could alter their life, because that's what can be available when you clear the bad energies and literally become a match for what you want in the universe. And so I want you to take a minute and I want you to honor that request, because that is really the big deal for the podcast. So take a minute and think, who is it that you want to share? Outside of that, if you're on your app, or if you're not, grab your app and think, can I subscribe? Can I follow? Can I rate? Can I review? Can I comment? What can I do? Everything you do really helps more than you think. So give it a minute and do those things, because that is literally how this community is being built, one step at a time. Madeline, we're getting to the end of the show, and I wanted to ask for your final words of encouragement or your parting words for us.
Yeah, I would say that if there is a feeling inside of you, maybe it's a gut feeling, maybe it's a pull, maybe it's a longing for more or for a different way, listen to that. The feelings we have and the dreams, the insights, they're there for a reason. Nothing is by accident. We live in a world that discounts our gut feelings, that discounts our that we can receive higher guidance, that discounts the spiritual world, but all of this is operating all of the time. And the more that you listen to these things and the more that you trust them, even when it feels scary and you step into the unknown, this is where the magic happens. Following these things is what leads you into your highest life, into ultimate fulfillment, into your heaven on earth. It all happens from inside of you. So listen to the pulls, listen to the gut feelings, listen to the sensations in your body. And if they don't make sense, go deeper and ask them questions. What are you showing me? Where are you leading me? What do I need to know? Where should I go? Spend more time connecting to yourself, to the silence, and this will take you everywhere that you want to go.
That's really good. If I was asking the question, where should I start? If I was listening to that and it was like, okay, I get it, but I don't know how to start. Where should I start if I feel like this doesn't make sense? I don't want to be here, but at the same time, tuning into my body and listening to it just seems like too much. What is the thing that I can begin today to experience something different? What should I do today?
Yeah, well, I think that this maybe isn't answering it in the way that you want, but we think that it's hard to connect to how we feel. We think that it's hard to get quiet. We think that it's hard to go to go inward and listen, but it's not as hard as we think. And it really just all comes back to taking time to be present, taking time to slow down. How can you stop rushing around? How can you take more time to breathe? How can you take more time to stop having your mind like, okay, a way to come into presence, notice when you're in the future and notice when you're in the past. Most people are in the past or in the future all day. How can you keep bringing your mind back to the moment, back to the moment? How can you keep feeling the moment? How can you keep sensing the moment, thinking in the moment? How can you be here now? That's the foundation. That's the first step. Keep being here now in every moment. And for a lot of people, meditation really helps that. Just a breathing practice. For me, yoga was key in being here now and creating presence. But presence is the first step. And then when you're present, then you can start to feel more and sense more inside, and it all will come from there.
I like what you're saying, being in the present right now, right here.
Yeah.
Your body has intelligence to know that that is what it wants. And so every time you flip away from that, you get information. So if you're
Mhm.
feeling hungry, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling depression, if you're feeling miserable, those are all signs that you're not living in the now, in the moment. So for example, if you're feeling fear, what I want to say is that use your feelings as information. So for example, when I
Yeah.
feel fear, I think, oh, why am I living in the past? My body's telling me that I'm living in the past. If I feel depressed or sad, my body is telling me that I am living in the past. If
Mhm.
I feel angry,
Yeah.
my body is telling me that I have a boundary that I haven't communicated. So somebody's stepping on it and they don't know. So, how
Yeah.
can you start to use those feelings as information that you can then use to move into the state that you want, which is like the highest state, which is really living now in the moment, right now, and taking in everything as it comes? I think that is what I move away with from this. That is
How
what I,
can you
how,
use your
mm, carry on.
what's it? How can you use your feelings to guide you back into the moment? That's the question?
No, no, no. I was just trying to give a complementary to that. Like, use your feelings as information to lead back to you or the highest version
Yes.
of you, because feelings are indeed information. And if we didn't treat them like a thing to avoid and we treated them as information, chances are in there is a pathway to a connection with our deepest self. And
Mhm.
every feeling, every fear, everything is really a drop of information of what needs to be, what needs to go back, like what needs to go, what is in out of alignment right now, what is the thing that
Yeah.
is off. And so yeah, I like thinking about it like that. And
Yeah.
really my last words are those: use your emotions, use your feelings as information that you're possibly in or out of that alignment. Really. Is there anything you want to add?
No, I love that. Everything is information. Everything is
Mm.
significant and everything is meaningful. Nothing happens by accident. And our emotions, this is why energy healing is so important, is because we are constantly living in the past or the future because of what's happened to us in our lives and what's happening around us. So if we're in fear, we're in the future. Or if we're like in pain, it's because of something that happened to us before. The problem is when we're still holding that pain, we're operating out of the pain and then we're continuing to create the same reality because we're still feeling the same things and thinking the same things. So you're exactly right. Our feelings, our emotions, our thoughts, everything, even in our lives, is a guide, and it's all insight. And it's just getting more in tune with understanding that everything is meaningful and everything can support you in your path to clearing the unwanted things and realigning to who you really are and what you really want.
I really believe the body is an intelligent system. It's an
Yeah.
operating system. And just like a car alarms, the body tells us when something is off. And so, as opposed to saying, I want to avoid that, I want to dim that, I want to take a pill for that, if we could go the route of,
Yeah.
okay, what's the alarm? Because when your car alarms, you don't go, how do I dim it down? You go, oh, what do I need to check? Maybe it's saying the fuel is down, or it's saying this thing needs checking. So think about your body as a car. And every time you have these feelings of contraction, it is literally an alarm on the dashboard. And think about how you can use that to get closer and closer and closer to your higher self, as opposed to I want to take a pill for that and I want to stop
Mhm.
that right now and I want to run away from that. Like, use it as information, like on the car when there is an alarm, it tells you exactly what may be wrong, what needs to be checked. And every time you fix it, every time you bring it back, it stops alarming. And so if we were cars, all emotions would be alarms. And so every time you feel bad, think, I wonder what the alarm is. Someone is stepping out of your boundaries, so you've not communicated them. This is not authentic to you, so note that path. Like, there's so many alarms going off, and I really like this analogy, and I've never shared it. I don't know where it came from, but if we can think our bodies as alarm systems, then we can really travel this journey by ourselves, because there is always signs and symptoms and alarms, and our body is really intelligent enough that it is always telling us. The problem is, every time we see something, we want to fix it, and sometimes we don't need to fix it. Sometimes we have to really understand like what it is. So I really like that. But thank you
Yeah,
so much
that's a good
for
way.
thank you so much for really being a part of this, and for being the vessel through which this message moves, because without you, this podcast wouldn't exist. So thank you so much for taking that role and sharing this message. And Madeline, thank you so much for bringing your beautiful soul to the podcast and pouring into us and really welcoming us into your world, and being able and willing to really support in any way that you can. We can't take for granted that, but what we can't take for granted is what had to happen behind the scenes before this moment. Because now you can help, but like, we don't know the Madeline before. We don't know the person that was consumed with fear. We don't know all the problems that had to happen for you to heal yourself. We don't really know like how you got here. But what we want to celebrate is like those things behind the scenes that got you here. We really want to celebrate that, because it is that those moments that brought us to this moment. And so really want to celebrate you and acknowledge you, and say that we are the best kept secret. Really celebrate that. And we see that, because being in surrender and doing this soul work is not easy in a world where everything else is happening. And so really want to give you that hug and say, yeah, we see you and we celebrate you, and please keep doing what you're doing, because it's helping us and it's helping the world. So yeah, so thank you.
Thanks, Prima. It was an honor to be here with you.
It is always an honor. And to you, my dear listener, I will see you the next time. Please make sure that you're sharing this with someone, and be sure to come back to the podcast if you haven't yet got your message, because everyone that comes on the show is coming on the show because there's a cry in the world that needs their message. And so if you haven't yet got your message, scroll through the thumbnails and see which other experts have been on the show, because sometimes your message is in the past. And so if you haven't seen your message and you don't see your message up to now, keep coming back, because this podcast is going to be airing until every cry in the world is fulfilled. Because as long as somebody is crying, as long as there's a soul that is tearing, there is someone with an answer in their heart, and they will make their way to the podcast. And so if you feel that calling, that question on your heart, I can guarantee you that there will be an expert with the answer. You just have to be patient and keep coming back and keep checking, and your answer will be there. Appreciate you. Have a beautiful day. And I hope this was insightful as always. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the World's Best Kept Secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.